very versatile. They can move guys around. When you look at their left side, Ekholm and Nurse are defensive defensemen. Bouchard and Klingberg are offensive, so that moving them around makes a lot of sense. Wallman and Kulak, both mobile, both puck movers, both able to jump in the attack. And then you add Stetcher as a 7th D. They're pretty mobile and active back there. And I like the optionality of being able to change it up a little bit. Certainly, I don't think it hurts them.
So far, the goaltending hasn't hurt the Oilers either. Do you watch this series with Stu Skinner in mind as like a, oh God, I hope this doesn't bite them sort of thing? Or are you of the belief that, look, he's shown in enough big games that he's solid?
He's made some really good stops
Yes.
throughout the course of the playoffs since he came back in. Against Vegas, then again against Dallas, and even in Game 1 and Game 2, he made a number of good stops. There's been a number of shots that have kind of hit him up in the shoulder area, but he's been very square, and just been big in the net, which I think you want out of your goaltender. He's a big guy. You want him playing big, whereas I think with the Winnipeg Jets 2 series that I watched against the St. Louis and Dallas, Hellebuck was very hunched over and looked very small in the net for a really big guy, and that shows a lack of confidence. In this case, with Skinner being as big as he is and looking big in there, I think that's a positive for the Edmonton Oilers.
I'm going to go kind of against the grain on you on that one, and I'm a firm believer of it's the ones that you don't make you get judged on than the ones that you do make. And I didn't like Marchand's game-winning goal. Leaky, he's there. Maybe the paddle should have been down, maybe it shouldn't, but that one that's you need that save there.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the difference maker in net. As you know, it's not how many you make, it's when you make them.
Yeah.
And they needed that save in that particular moment. And it was, to your point, it wasn't like he came in unabated with nobody harassing him and had full control. He kind of lost it as he came over to his back end and just looked like he tipped it. I don't know if he didn't have his paddle down. I don't know if it missed his paddle. But no, it was leaky. There's no question, Nick. But I'm not going to hold out.
Oh no, he's right there.
I think he's been pretty good.
Yep. No, I agree.
Has he been excellent? No, because if he was excellent, he would have made that save. But he's been really good and above average for what he showed in the first series against LA when he got pulled.
So, you've been in so many of these playoff series. What type of adjustments start to happen after a couple games when you go from home to the road? Well, what are you looking at doing differently as a team?
Well, I think, and Nick can attest to this, sometimes you want to get on the road. It's especially in the Stanley Cup Finals. You're away from all the pomp and circumstance. You're away from all the family and all the craziness, and you're at the hotel with your teammates, immersed in preparing for what you need to do and how you need to perform and how you need to execute, and thinking about the subtle changes maybe that the coaching staff's going to put into place, or what you can do if you're a centerman, what you can do on faceoffs better. If you're a defenseman, how can you get the net, use the net? How can you clear from the front of the net? All the little details, all those little intangibles that the casual fan doesn't really pick up on. And those subtle adjustments of the defenseman not standing in the crease or having their feet near the blue paint, but moving up a foot or two so that those cross ice passes from side to side aren't hitting your feet in front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a hard and fast rule that I needed to be at least 2 feet outside of the blue paint. If I'm standing there, jostling with an opponent, trying to move him from the front of the net, or take a stick away, what have you. We've seen a lot of pucks go in off defensemen this playoff over the course of what are we at, 80 games or whatever it is, all the way up and down. And there's been a lot of goals scored off defensemen's feet, legs, whatnot. And at this juncture, in this stage of the playoffs and Stanley Cup Finals, you want to try to negate any small issue like that happening on your watch.
Prongs, just one more quick one for me, as Sammy's telling me we're squeezing a little bit of time here, but I really value your opinion as a top defenseman in the league over many, many years on what Seth Jones is doing right now and where he came from out of Chicago, where he was kind of, his career as a top defenseman was kind of dead and buried over there, and now all of a sudden he's doing what he's doing. And sometimes is it just about putting a guy in a situation to succeed?
Well, I think you're walking into a room that has the winning pedigree and the culture. You don't come in there and try to change them to you. You're going in and you're changing your outlook. You're changing your mentality to the people in that locker room and the culture that they've created, from the head, from ownership to management to the coaching staff to the star players that are in that locker room that have already won, and they're now bringing you along for the ride and trying to win another one. I think it's provided a new glimmer of hope in his career that he probably felt was fading in Chicago, losing listless every night. And I think his attitude was lowered to that standard, which was, we're going to lose every single night. And now the standard is, we're going to win every single night and we're going to compete. And as we know with the Florida Panthers, they're going to drag everybody into the fight every single night. And just knowing and preparing every game that you never know what's going to happen on the ice with them. And the physical side of it, big guy, he needs to use his body, his skating ability, jumping up in the attack, providing offense. And then the way he defends, long stick, mobile, able to cut down the ice in half and really kind of segment the defensive zone and force his man in the corner where he can then create turnovers and use his good stick. So he's been, I think he's been a little bit better, as I mentioned earlier, throughout the course of the playoffs, but I think he's been better maybe than they expected at this stage of him getting there. He didn't get off to a great start when he was in Florida. And, I think it, as we know, it takes a little bit of time to adjust to a new system, new style, and also the compete level that they bring each and every night is going to be a lot different than what he saw in Chicago.
Awesome stuff as always on our show, man. We really appreciate your time. Prongs, thanks for doing this. Enjoy the game. Game 3 tonight, Florida Panthers.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oilers. That is the one, the only Chris Pronger.
Good stuff.
One of the best to ever suit up on any blue line.
Yeah. No, he's bang on with a lot of that stuff. I like the part about being 2 feet in front of the crease when you're conducting those battles.
Yeah.
Got to be aware where you are.
Yeah,
Guys
Sam
looking to fall.
Sam Bennett's such a dirtbag.
It's so funny how it's like, if you were a parent, you'd be like, oh, stop it. We know exactly what you're doing.
You can't win without dirtbags.
Duh.
No,
and that's why I'm saying that I'd like the Leafs to pay him $10 million to do it.
You need a dirtbag in Toronto, Sammy, so badly.
Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Just like, Florida has 3 UFAs that are kind of dirtbags, and every one, the Leafs are just like, could we have one of them?
Please
send us a bag of dirt.
How about we sign Jason Spezza instead? Anyways, Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app, latest odds, and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet.